living the American dream right now with COVID.
Yeah, something like that, right?
Yeah.
Good one. Hello, Miss Daisy.
Hi, how are you guys?
Good.
I'm with Stephanie. I'm just living the dream.
Same.
All right. Well, we had quite a few people accept the invite to this meeting, so I think we'll have a pretty good size house today.
Awesome. We're welcome to give it a minute if you wanted to give it a minute too, just so people can get on. I'm not in any hurry.
I'm with you. That sounds great. Um, for those of you that are here, for those of you that are going to catch this later on Facebook, today I was able to share our Directors Network agenda with everyone. And so everyone, we have many repeat presenters that can get in and edit and add topics and things that they want to share about. But if you're not a typical presenter and you have something that you'd like to talk about, please reach out. We've shared it with everyone else, centers and homes, in such a way that everyone can comment. So again, if you are looking at the agenda for this month, or as we take the same agenda, we turn it into a January agenda. If you have questions, let's say licensing has topics this month about out-of-state clearance processes, and if you have questions about that, then on the agenda, somewhere in there, right-click and comment, and you can ask them questions. So that way they can kind of see some questions ahead of time and prep for, maybe reach out, get answers to them. So we're taking our Directors Network agenda and just making it live and livable and breathable, more interactive. So please feel free, if you're a presenter, to be adding topics on there. If you're not a presenter on a typical, again, you want to request to get some time, by all means, make a comment on there. You can reach out to email to me or to many of the other typical presenters on here, and we'd love to get your feedback and make sure we're covering the topics that you want to talk about. So. We'll give everybody just a couple more minutes. I'm so glad there's no waiting room today. Nobody has to manage bringing people in. Oh, that's fantastic. It's the simple things sometimes we get so excited about, right? And today I'm recording my screen with Camtasia, which is a screen recording software I use a lot. And I'm recording the entire screen, so it'll be everyone will be able to see this view as you're watching this on Facebook and our Mesa County Childcare Provider Group. So a little different and more entertaining. So all of our faces will be visible all the time. So that's fun for some of us.
It's exciting to see everybody's faces. I have to tell you, even though I work with Stephanie Bivens, I haven't seen her face in like 2 months. So I'm excited to see her.
Hey, friend.
Hi, Kirk, thanks for putting this on so I can see my coworkers.
And she's indoors today. I don't know. It's clear skies down in the valley. It must be
cold.
storming or cold up in Quebec.
We've had snow. I'm north of Parachutes. We had snow yesterday, some flurries and stuff, and it's super windy and cold. So probably going to be inside for a while now.
Yeah, you got it. Maybe a few introductions real quick. I'm Kirk. I own Discovery Kids, Fruita Junction, work with the county through some consulting efforts, and that's me. Cheryl, hit that unmute mic. You're a new face to this group, so tell us who you are for those that don't know you.
I'm Cheryl Fisher, and I run the before and after school programs for the schools in the school district. So I'm pretty much strictly school aged and in 24 schools or serve 24 schools throughout the district. And I've been doing this for about 25 years now. So definitely this year is the most challenging in so many aspects. But yeah, thank you. And thank you so much for inviting me. I'm really excited about being a part of this.
Wow, that's great. Welcome, Cheryl. I'm going to pick on some new faces there, or semi-new. Aspen, you know I'm talking about you. Hit that mic, hit that mute button. Who are you, Aspen? Oh, hit the mute button. The mute button. There we go.
Me now?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm Aspen. I have been in the industry for about 18 years. I actually originally came from Colorado Springs, but since I've been here, I've been mostly teaching, and the center I was working for unfortunately shut down. So now I am the director of Noah's Ark Christian Preschool.
All right, well, welcome. Lots of very familiar faces on here. Amy and Jessica with PCF. Hello, ladies.
Hi, I'm Jessica Giles. I'm the council coordinator for the Partnership for Children and Families, which is Mesa County's Early Childhood Council.
Hey, I'm Amy. I'm the Quality Improvement Navigator with the Partnership for Children and Families.
All right, we're going to get to Miss Bivens here in a minute. Miss Daisy with licensing, and it is 1:07 by my clock. Maybe we can kick this off, and we'll just welcome people as they join in. How's that? Take it away, Miss Daisy, if you would.
Yes. So the live agenda that Kirk has created, this is amazing because it does allow me, the out-of-state clearance process was typed in here, so it allowed me to find you guys links and the form that you guys need. And anytime you're on here, if you see that I have typed stuff in my little box, feel free to comment. I may not always know the answer to your questions during the meetings, but I'm always willing to find answers. So yeah, just let me know questions you have. I know that the out-of-state clearance process is new and confusing, even for licensing. So one of the questions that was posed was, where do we even, like, who do we contact? Where do we go? The first link that you see, it says, here's the interstate childcare background checklist or check contact list. This will give you who you need to contact for every state. So that is a live link. You can click on that. The link below it, that's the actual form that you need to fill out. This form needs to be filled out for all staff. So if you were to open it, there is it's on the second page, I believe. there's a little box that says, have you lived in a state other than Colorado within the last 5 years? If you haven't, check no, but make sure that that stays in your file, and all of your staff files. That's how we are going to determine if that person needs different background checks or more background checks, and to look for them. Otherwise, we would have no idea. The other thing that I wanted to talk to you about in regards to this is the type of checks that you should be getting for your out of state. So when this is initiated, you will get, or they're going to do 3 different types of checks, but it's all going to go, from my understanding, it's all going to go to Denver through BIU, and then they will send you one form, one letter to house in your file when all of this comes through. I have not had anybody fully complete this yet. I know that I've worked with a couple of providers of trying to navigate it, and it is a confusing system. So don't feel like you're the only one if you're confused and overwhelmed and you just hit the X button and you're like, I'll deal with it later, because it is. It's confusing, and we are working on it as well so that we can give you guys some assistance and figure out where to go from there. Are there any questions regarding this right now?
Daisy, the form that's on the agenda there, the Background Investigation Unit, BIU, it looks very similar, if not identical, to the form we've been sending off to the state for trails.
Yes.
Is this a little bit different?
It is a little bit different. So when you send this off, my understanding is that when you send this off, you are also going to be sending off everything that you have collected from other states. And they're going to put it together for you in one clearance letter, so that it's not a jumbled mess and papers get lost. You will have one official letter from the state of Colorado.
Got it.
Okay, Daisy, so you said we fill this out for all staff, but if they're not ever lived out of the state of Colorado, do we still have to send that in, or do we still do? Okay, so then we just keep that in the file for you to look at when you look at their files.
Yes.
So no matter what, you have to fill that out, have them sign it. But if they've been in Colorado, then you do nothing with it. And
Correct.
you still do your trails that you've been doing. Okay, I didn't know that we had to fill it out no matter what. So.
Yes, that was definitely something I wanted to talk about, because that was a question that we as licensing had, was if you're going to implement this rule, how are we going to determine who needs it and who doesn't? You know, many of our providers are very upstanding and want to follow the rules, even though they're confusing. And then there's just, you know, you have your wild card who's just going to try to skirt things under the rug. So that's what that little yes and no checkbox is for. It is also recommended that before you send this in, please make a copy. And in fact, I would keep the originals. Unless it states otherwise, but make a copy for yourself, because you never know if things are going to get lost or just what. And then also it's there for that time of limbo. If your licensing specialist shows up, did you send it in? Did you not send it in? Then we have proof that it's all gathered and that you're working on obtaining this letter.
I know there's a spot on the original CBI form that we're so used to that we send off to the state for trails that asks if we've been at the same address for, what does it ask, 5 years or 10 years? Does it not ask us if we've lived outside the state? Is that the one box it misses?
I think so. Also, so trails, FBI, and CBI, none of them talk together. So that's what this one is going to hopefully try to mitigate. So if you have an employee who's worked with you or worked for you for 10, 15, 20 years, and things aren't being continuously run, or something happened in the past, and you just, like, none of the systems talked together. Can you guys hear my dog barking? I'm like,
No.
should I go shut my door? Hold on 1 second. I'm so sorry.
I'm trying to pull up just the standard trails form. Because goodness, if it had that box on there,
Yeah.
seems like that would mitigate some of this.
Yes.
Hey Daisy, I have a question on this.
Yep.
What's the, I mean, is it if they've, and you may have said this already at a different meeting, but if they've been out of state for how many years? Is there a time limit? I mean, if it was like 20 years ago, do they still have to fill it out? Oh, Cheryl's telling me 5. It's a 5-year deal? Okay.
Yep. 5 years.
And it's
I was also
important to
gonna ask
know. Yep, and it's important to know that if they've moved to a couple of different states, you have to do in that 5 years, you have to do a background check for every state that they've lived in. You have to do those 3 things, the Central Registry, the sex offenders, and then the criminal background check. And there's 3 in most every state that I've been investigating. Just to try and navigate it, in every single state, it's 3 different departments, just like in ours. And it takes a little bit of digging and lots of emails. I'm trying to work on the states that seems like most of our college students come from: California, New Mexico, and that. And then there are, like, I think 9 states that you don't have to do all of it because they have that commonality. Like, I think Wyoming is one. And so if you look, it all has that in the rules, but there's some states that you don't have to do it in if they came from those states because they have that commonality and that search is done already with doing it with Colorado. But just to know, when you guys get to working on this, that it is any state they've lived in, and you've got 3 different departments that you've got to go through at each state.
So what's the cost, or does it vary per state with the cost of this?
It varies. In Texas now, getting their central registry done is free, but you have to have a notarized form, and it is not sent to you, it is sent to the employee. And then the employee has to give you that form. So every state is different. New Mexico, I think there's a $25 fee, so it just varies.
So if we don't have it already, we'll make it, which is going to be a document, hopefully, that we can have, like Cheryl, the contacts that you've developed in Texas, just like the agenda, we can all collaborate and just A through Z and have those links on there. I think that'd be really helpful. That way, when my next gal comes from North Carolina,
Right.
someone else has done the work, and when your person's come from Utah, I've done the work for you. So that certainly, if it doesn't exist, we'll definitely get that created and share that.
I'd love to work with you on that, Kurt, because I think that would be so helpful, because navigating through that whole list is really overwhelming. I know Daisy said, you click on it and figure you're going to be back on it later, but it is really overwhelming, and where a majority of my students that I hire, not the majority, probably like 10% come from a different state, and then to figure that out and to navigate that in that time frame that you've got to do it in. So I would love to collaborate with you on doing that, Kirk, and getting some of that. And when things are slower, that's what we're working on, is going through state by state to find that contact, to find out what that state requires, how much it is, what form you need to go to. So I'm doing a lot of emailing and phone calling right now to try and get through that. So far I'm good, because the people I'm hiring now, I'm asking, have you lived out of state? Okay, no, I'm not interested. No.
Well, that sounds great. Yeah, I absolutely will work with you on
I'll
that.
definitely work with you on that, Kurt.
Yeah.
That would be great.
Yeah. Now, Miss Daisy has some good news about that with regard to being approved. Uh-oh, what's that look for?
Is
Being
that the
approved
waiver?
for a variance?
Are you talking about the waiver?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, so when this was brought to us, I think we were told about it a week before they sent it out to you guys. So the amount of messaging that went out was very minimal. The state of Colorado did request a waiver for a year to allow us to help you guys figure this out and to get feet underneath you. So if you don't have this now, that's okay. The waiver is good until September of 2021. So we were granted a year to muddle through this.
Sounds great.
Okay, any other questions regarding that process? The unknown process. Okay.
Beyond, obviously Cheryl's been working hard and has had success in several states, it sounds like. Is there anyone else that has had success in other states or from licensing? Have you, on behalf of one of your pilot sites or what have you, had success in any other particular states?
Cheryl, what state have you found to be the hardest to work with so far?
New Mexico. I'm not getting much information at all from New Mexico. Texas, I've gotten all my emails back. I'm still kind of navigating over which form because once they really aren't very helpful as far as they just send you to this, here's the link, but then you have questions because on the one form from Texas it said, that if your employee is actually requesting the records and then they can request them to be sent to someone else designated, but if you're an employer they can't designate it to you. So then you have to rely on them to get it back to you when they get it. So I'm sending questions out and finding out the process, just department by department. So it's a slow process. It's but New Mexico, I've not received much help from, and knowing that we have that waiver, that relieves me a little bit, and that I'll get all my staff hired in August of next year to where July 31st. But yeah, that really does help in knowing that we've got that time, and it lessens the pressure on me finding stuff out. So that I'm taking good notes so I can share them as we go, and I'll quit being so random about the states I'm checking on, and I'll get down to where I'll be more organized about it, knowing I have a little bit of time. I'm really relieved to hear that. Thank you for bringing that up.
Sure. And Daisy, to your knowledge, did the state who passed this regulation, or maybe it was federal?
It's
it was federal, wasn't it?
Federal.
Yeah, so there's no one at the state that's reached out, or no one that, to your knowledge, has coordinated the contacts from state to state. Okay.
No,
typical legislature.
the only thing that we have is just that interstate contact list, which I think is just kind of a, here's your first step, good luck.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Open that also.
I do want to
Well,
talk to you
that
guys.
really actually is. I don't know if, I'm sorry, but I don't know if anybody's looked at that, but that's kind of what I was asking for. So
It doesn't give
I'll,
specific contacts or departments. Like Cheryl said, a lot of times it's 3 different departments that you need to contact. I think this is just a first step. The first step of, here you go. Give it a shot.
got it.
So, I mean, as you guys are going through this, if you do have a main department phone number, maybe we could throw it in a spreadsheet.
Yeah.
something.
We'll use this. I'll use this interstate, the background contact list that you gave us. That can be the basis of what this document looks like, and then we'll have areas where we can comment based on, hey, we got progress here. I got this back office number, what have you. So, yeah, that's great though. At least we're not starting from ground zero. So
Yeah.
we'll start with that and we'll build on that. Great.
Awesome. I do want to talk to you guys a little bit about COVID. We have seen a rise of positive cases in centers. I mean, we knew it was going to happen. 'Tis the season. The only thing that I really kind of want to talk to you about is the process of how you guys are communicating that, and just letting parents know that if they are positive or if their children test positive, to let you guys know. That way you can mitigate what you need to mitigate. You need to clean, you need to contact us or epidemiology. Right now, the way that it's working is if you contact your licensing specialist to let us know that you have a positive case, that's fine because we're actually doing your contact tracing for you. We will email the epidemiology team and just confirm that that is a true positive case, because we're also getting some mixed messages about that on who's really positive and who's not. And then we go from there. I will send you a spreadsheet of all the contacts that we need from you, and then we contact all those families for you and let them know how long they need to quarantine and when they need to be, or when they can come back.
I have a question with that, Daisy. The CDC said today that they may be shortening the time of quarantine from the 10 to 14 days down to 7 to 10 days. When that comes out, is that something that Mesa County Health is going to do, or will you be able to decide your own kind of set of rules with that?
More than likely, because we get our directives straight from the CDPHE website, and they get theirs from the CDC. So I'm assuming that it'll change it a little bit. There is a difference between isolation and quarantine. And I didn't know the difference until recently when I started doing a lot of contact tracing and what that could potentially look like. And I can actually put links in here on what it looks like to isolate and to quarantine, and when to do both or either. I mean, if they shorten the quarantine time, I mean, I think that could be, if that's the science that they're finding, that's amazing.
And from the county perspective, and I had my annual checkup yesterday, was talking to my doc about this. When it comes to rapid test results versus what maybe we're seeing at CMU, which is sometimes 24 hours to 36, 48 to the county, to the fairgrounds, let's call it that, where we're seeing 2 to 4 days. Does the county have any idea when there'll be more rapid test results that will come here?
I don't know. I can ask absolutely about rapid testing. And if we have that ability to like mass rapid test, or if we even have plans to do that.
Yeah, and my doc's answer to that was, those are reserved for those that are critical. Like, he had to go get a rapid test result because he was going to be on call as a physician, over the weekend. So, so those are kind of triaged like everything else. So that was his thought and response. And I'm sure that's, as more rapid becomes available and gets pushed out, then hopefully we can do more of that. So sounds good.
Yeah. I also remember when all of this first started, I mean, I think it was close to 10 to 14 days before people were getting results at all. So being down to 2 to 4 days is not short of a miracle.
Yeah.
So Daisy, this is Jen Freed from Little Peaches. So from a home perspective, I'm a large home. a lot of the homes that I've networked with do not have like a COVID policy in place. And it's really hard. I've been trying to like help everyone out and trying to develop like a blanket one. And I'm working with Ashley kind of on that now, because homes are kind of, they're not as networked as centers, it seems. And so there's only a handful of them that, EHS that we network with. But, because everything changes so oftenly, it's hard to write just a policy, so I think my biggest question would be, especially Kurt, since you had it in your center, when they are testing, are we allowed, or is it against HIPAA to ask for those test results? Because I know now that CCAP is not requesting those. They would have to come from the parent anyway. I had 2 parents test. They were both negative, luckily. But they kept the children home while they were waiting for their test results. So that was good. And I know CCAP's doing like 10-day absences no matter what, which is great. And so are we allowed to require that before we let them enter back into the program? Either the parents test or the children? Or, I mean, that's kind of where our concern is right now for homes. I know one home that I spoke to, the mom had tested positive, but she didn't feel that the children were having any symptoms, so she sent them to daycare anyway when she had tested positive. And so it's really scary that parents would keep that from us. And so that's why I want to help develop a policy to protect us from that. And, threaten automatic termination for putting everyone in jeopardy, basically. Because that's what they're doing, not just our homes, but everyone else. It's just spreading it more. If she knew, she should have kept her children home. We feel, keep everyone safe, and especially since now the symptom guidelines, you can be asymptomatic, you could have just, the loss of taste or smell, and kids don't know if they don't have lost taste of smell or, any of that. And so, can we ask for those test results? Are you guys does anybody have like a sample COVID policy they could share with us? We're just looking for guidance in that. I mean, like I said, it's just so hard to develop one because everything's constantly, now CDC is changing the quarantine guidelines. And so, we homes are just kind of lost, I think. Yeah.
From a licensing standpoint, whatever you put in as your policy, and if you're following your policy and you end up with a complaint from a parent about your policy, from a licensing standpoint, there's no founded complaint. So in your policy, if you state that you need a negative COVID result, or you need them to show you the letter that the county provides them about quarantining, that's your policy, and you're welcome to follow that. The concern that I have about what you said is this is why I bring up parents, if they've tested positive or if their children have tested positive, and they haven't shared it with you, but you know that they've been out of school for a week or so. This is why it's scary, because if they're not telling you, so that link that I put on the agenda, this is going to get a little bit muddled, so hang in there with me. If I were to test positive today, my self-isolation as it stands now goes 10 days. In 10 days, so during those 10 days, my family is supposed to also isolate with me. But when my 10th day is over, their quarantine starts, because quarantine starts the last day that you made known contact with that positive person. So potentially, my children and husband could have to quarantine for 24 days. And so if you have families who are testing positive but still sending their children because they're not symptomatic, that's okay. They need to stay
kind of
home.
where we want parents to know what our recommendation, what we are asking of them. Yes, you need to communicate to keep everyone safe. Maybe she felt like, oh, it's not a big deal. The health department didn't say I had to quarantine my children, so I'm going to send them to daycare so I can get rest and quarantine, and they're not here with me. I can see from a parental view too, kind of, but I think as providers, we need to make it clear what our expectations are. And then
Right.
if they, and I think they don't get as much guidance as we do. Yeah, they watch the news. Yeah, they're not getting it straight from CDHP like we are. And so they don't know unless we communicate that with them, how upset we would be if they did put us at risk, and close our business and jeopardize our families as homes. It's not just the families that come here, it's our own families as well. It's the school.
Absolutely.
It's a community,
It is.
and so that's why I was kind of looking for, but I'm just going to kind of go off of the guidelines. Like you said, the 10, to 14, it's scary to be out of work 24 days, but it's also scary to spread it around to everyone where everything's going to get closed down again anyway. We all have to do our part. And so
There is definitely a sample COVID policy. It's on my shared drive and I have to log in through the VPN. But as soon as I get off this meeting, I'll log into that and post it on this agenda. It's very vague, but it's vague for a reason so that you all can make it your own.
Okay, that's what we kind of need, and I'm kind of running at an impasse on how to write it myself because everything changes. What does blanket mean? When the guidelines are constantly changing. But
and you can change your policy. Absolutely. Anytime you change it, just make sure that you are informing parents.
Yeah, and have them, like a or something.
Yes.
Or, just say, by going by the health department's recommendations, this is what we intend to do, and this is what we intend you to do. We want you to be honest with us, and we'll help you any way we can, but,
Yes. Anytime we do contact tracing as licensing, we are providing high risk, high contact letters to parents so that they can present them to their employers. So you are also welcome to ask for those letters that we provide for them.
That's perfect because the situation that we had a doctor test. She did not go through the college or the fairgrounds or through the health department. She went through her doctor, and he actually said that, it's illegal for them to ask for that information. So she actually had to go to her patient portal, screenshot the negative results from her patient portal to show me. So I know it differs from where you get your testing too, whether or not you get a letter, a thing saying.
I did talk to our epidemiology about a concern that I had with something similar to that. It can become a public health hazard if results, and it's not that we want to share results, but if you have a concern that somebody tested positive and they are wanting to bring their children, that's considered a public health hazard. So,
or a negative, because I'm saying I can't let you back until you give me negative results, that your doctor's saying you're all clear. Like with everything, you missed work for 3 days, or you've been symptom free for so long, or with COVID, it's kind of the same thing. You have to have a doctor's note to go back to work in school.
Yep.
And so when the doctor wouldn't do that, I was kind of floored too. Good thing and the patient portal only had her first name at the top. It didn't even have her last name, so technically I couldn't really use it. It could have been anybody's. But that was a problem that I was running into too, because I was asking CCAP, do we have to provide results, when they've been out or they've been gone? And Melissa said, no, we've changed it now, and that was yesterday. And so I was like, okay, good, because I'm trying to get letters and I can't. So.
Yeah.
I'd appreciate that sample COVID policy.
Yes, I will post it on the agenda just so everybody has it.
Perfect.
That's here.
Hey, Jen. This is Lori over at Futures. I just wanted to let you know I've had to ask for a lot of letters. Parents have been really good about it, but one thing I would advise you in any of the homes that employ staff is to definitely ask for the letters of the test results with a date that the staff member's notified. I've already had one staff member try to get a few extra days of pay out of it. We only have to pay the 2/3 pay until they have that result, and if it's negative, then we don't have to pay beyond that. So it's something important to remember where we have to pay for people that staff members.
And that's where kind of homes differentiate from centers. Like it's all my family working here now. So, if one of us, my husband's even with us now. So but with large homes, that do have one or two employees, that would make sense to put the date on there. and maybe a little bit more details, like you said, the isolation and the quarantine, Daisy, have those kind of dates on there so we know. Because I know, Kurt, I was floored last time when you said how much you had to pay out between reimbursement and pay, and I was like, whoa, good thing I got the EDIL. But, I'm just kind of sitting on that waiting because it's pretty scary.
Yeah, for sure. And, the nice thing about the payroll is it comes back, really quick as far as the reimbursement. But as far as tuition, and so we've made a lot of steps to try to mitigate, ahead of time. And I'm going to share my screen real quick because I'm just going to show you. This is essentially how we mitigate. Right there. We mitigate through communication. And so this is a YouTube channel that we have. It's called Discovery Kids Learning Center, so it's just for our parents. So we only put things on here that are for our families to see. And so, 6 days ago, 175 views.
Yeah.
We're capturing almost all of our families through these updates. And these are just short little videos. I'm just kind of updating them on a certain situation or our school or school policy or what we're doing to keep the center safe and so forth. And so
that's way cool. We have a Facebook page that's totally private to parents like that too. Just pictures throughout the day.
Yeah, and that's easier to maintain.
I try and communicate that way. I have one or two parents that are anti-technology, believe it or not. And so they're not on anything. And so I have to do in the newsletter. I'll do things once a month, in the newsletter. But for centers, that makes sense doing YouTube announcements,
Well, and if Facebook works great, the nice thing I like about YouTube is that it's pretty simple. If someone needs help, reach out. I'll be happy to help them. Either help them or give them someone smarter than me. There's plenty of those here in Mesa County. But I can literally text a link, to all of our families with that YouTube link, so they don't have to have Facebook. And so, but I also posted on our Facebook page for our families as well. But I think just communicating and really asking parents ahead of time and let them know what you're doing and because the 80-20 rule, right? And of the 20% that aren't really on board, there's 20% of those that might try to bring their child if they're positive or what have you. So I do like the idea of getting that written COVID policy in place.
Yeah. And I was in nursing for 20 years, so my medical knowledge is very good. But a lot of the other homes, I'm noticing they're coming in, they're asking, what does your policy look like? And I'm like, well, I wrote a letter in the beginning saying that we would be going with the health department's recommendations, and that if we had to close, blah, blah, blah. But now I think it's very important to mitigate and make those areas known. Cut and dry. It can be a blanket, it can be very vague or whatever, but we need to put in there. If you do not tell us and you're positive and you bring your children, you will be terminated, and so, and then it becomes a revenue thing too, and you feel bad for the kids, and, homes, we get really attached because they are in our home and they become like family to us. And so I think, this person should have terminated, and she didn't, this provider, and she just let her know, I'm really hurt by what you did.
Well, let me mention this too from for those that have multiple staff and multiple classrooms, and apply these to the home too. Part of that mitigation also is, as much as you can, forecasting positive results based on information you get. So if you have admin working with you, for you, make sure everybody stays in that loop so you can work to mitigate together. So, for example, we had a staff come in Monday morning. Husband didn't feel well, so decided to get a COVID test. We got our staff out of there and her kiddo out of there immediately. Okay, and so she went and got a test too. They both came back negative. We were like, great. But if that test had come back positive, and we'd have held on to that staff member and their child, would have let them work Monday and into Tuesday before the results, we could have blown up 2 classrooms and probably 6 or 7 staff. So the cost, if you will, of saying, I need you out, I'm going to do 2/3 pay or whatever you're going to do, the cost associated with that staff member for 2 days compared to what could have been had they came back positive right? So trying to be as proactive as possible. And so then it comes back to subs and trying to build up. I mean, if you don't need subs right now, you should be advertising for substitutes right now, because you never know. And if you can bring 3 people in to mitigate and prevent that room, even if you can do that and you can bring those kids back 2 days earlier. As you said, Gentry, you know, is referenced the just over $10,000 that it costs our Fruita Center because we had to quarantine 2 rooms, 50 kids roughly for 2 weeks. That was a huge expense. So, and I assume it's going to happen again, but we've just got to be really proactive on that. So I'd encourage that. All right. Let's slide into Miss Bibbins if we can, and then PCF, because I know we've got a lot of stuff left on the agenda. Yeah, Stephanie, what do you think? You want to take over?
Sure, thanks. Thank you, Daisy, for all those resources. And I was going to ask you, where are you that it's night? But then when you went to let your dog out, I could tell you were in a room. It's like, where is she? Bedroom.
So typically my office is in the basement, but it's very dark in my basement, and I just have to come up where there's a window occasionally. Otherwise, I'm gonna become a vampire.
And now Kirk is on vacation.
I stepped outside real quick. It's pretty nice here. Yeah, we're in the Keys today, actually.
Okay, no more COVID talk for now. I'm all done with that. So,
Amen.
as far as workforce development, we still have some availability. Right now, I have between 5 to 10 slots available for the CDA credentialing. They can apply through the state. There's a link that I can find, or PCF has it too, but for the application for a full scholarship for the CDA. It's also for CDA renewal. It covers the cost of the program. They get guidance throughout the whole thing, step by step, to help them through, and then it also covers the CDA exam. We do know that there is, thank you, Daisy. I miss your face too. Bye. There's also a waiver for the CDA since there are no PD specialist visits allowed right now. So there is a waiver. We have a link for that too to apply. So once that person goes through and gets their training, they get their hours completed and they take their exam. There's a waiver that they can function as a lead while they're waiting on that PD specialist visit. That's that last chunk. People that are that have an associate's and have some experience in early childhood can become PD specialists as well. So we have a couple people that have applied. We're going to need more as we have this big uptick in CDA approvals. So if you're interested in becoming a CDA or a PD specialist and what that looks like, please let me know and I can help. That being said, on CDA, so that's the state one, there's only a handful left. We've taken 90 in our catchment area, and so I only have a handful left, and then we'll do maybe another 40, I think, next May is probably what's going to be the next one. We are also going to have another CDA cohort go through if someone wants more of a classroom model, though it'll be this virtual. And that's going to start in March. You can take any CDA course. The CDA course, the training has to be completed before March 31st, though. You have to be enrolled. So one that's more of a semester base that starts in January and doesn't finish until that end of the semester is not going to work for this round. It could potentially for 2021. So great question. So right now we have, there's 5 different programs that we can utilize, and they're kind of more self-paced. We've had really good high quality feedback about those programs. One of them is Pro Solutions. Another one is I don't know, I can't remember the acronym, but ask me later. There's plenty of options that we've had really good feedback with. And then then they get, and actually I'm going to be the CDA advisor for the last chunk for these folks. So then they'll have my support of weekly update, weekly meetings. They get basically coaching through this, of helping them, even suggestions on papers when they're submitting, those types of things. So it's very high involvement, but it's also as needed. So somebody that doesn't want that much, that's fine. Somebody that really wants a lot of help, that's fine too. So it's really meeting them where they're at and getting them what they need to get them through these processes, so that they feel really supported and get them through. So, questions on CDA at all? Okay. So if you know of anybody, there's a couple more slots. I know I've referenced a couple people, but I haven't heard from Red Rocks yet if we got a couple over the Thanksgiving break, but I'm hoping to get that last piece, because after the 16th, this money goes back to the federal government, so it goes totally away. So we really want to use it, and if you have a teacher's aide, somebody that needs it, let's use it. We might as well use the dollars while we have them.
And so if someone has somebody that wants to apply, they get the application, where do they go find it?
I can drop in the link, or Jessica, I know you have the link. Would you be able to pull it up at all? Do you have the application link?
Sure, I can drop that.
Thank you. And Jess, are you guys going to put that on the PCF website, the link to the state waiver? Or not the waiver, sorry. Well, maybe waiver too, but the CDA application.
I believe we added it a few weeks ago. I don't think we have all of the different program options on there. That was something that we were working on, but we do have the application, so I can link our site link as well.
And I'll be getting a hold of you ladies again. I appreciate you very much. I had my licensing annual inspection, and so I had to get that out of the way. So now I can continue with life.
Oh, okay. Okay, great. Okay, so just put that one up there. So yeah, it's a pretty quick application, and then you'll get an email of an acceptance, or the person will get an email of acceptance. There's an intake form that completes the process, and then you'll get notified by me, and we'll start getting your program up and running and going. So pretty fast turnaround, but we're also trying to collect the last couple, and my deadline's the 16th to get everybody in. That's over 13 counties. Then there's also a regular county one that'll be in March. So if somebody later on, you have a new hire, there's still more opportunities. As far as WCCC with Stephanie and Bales, I have no idea when their next cohort is going to be. But we could probably find out. I'm sure they'll post with PCF, with Jessica, and let them know. So it'll probably be on their website. EQIT, right now, we are wrapping up. We've got 2 more weeks of EQIT this season, so they'll be finished here soon. We're also going to do EQIT again this spring, so if somebody needs infant and toddler training, they can sign up again, the PCF website, to do that training. We are taking a survey of what time in the afternoon is better. Sorry, there's only 2 choices. And that's due to the availability of the instructors. One of them is me. The other one is Kelly. So we will have that. It's another 16-week cohort. I would really like to say that this could be really good, not just for providers for that 45-hour that they need, or a renewal or anything like that. I would really like to start working to promote this for young mothers. Pediatric offices, talking to new moms, those types of things that way, because they really learn a lot about quality. And so when they come to your center, it's not as big of an uplift for you guys, of they're already going to know what safe sleep is. They're already going to know some of the childcare regulations and that types of things, and you won't have some of those battles of, yeah, but I've been doing this and he's fine. Why do you say we have to do this? And explain that this is a little bit better practice and higher quality. So I do think that this could be a good avenue for like FFN providers. If you know of some, it's a free training. It gives 45 clock hours, and I think for new moms, new parents, this would be a really, really good resource. Again, it's free, but it might kind of front load quality on the back end is what I feel like. As a parent myself, I would have loved to have had something like this when I had a newborn of, oh my gosh, that's what I need to be doing, and feel really good about what I was doing in the beginning. You know what I mean? So if you have ideas, I'd like to kind of maybe do a flip, obviously providers, teachers, great, let's get them into this cohort, but I'd kind of like to look at that other end of parents, new parents, to see if we can get some interest. Right now we have some parents and some grandparents that are in the cohort, and they have had it's been really cool to see their growth and what they've noticed and the changes that have been made, and they were just like, well, if I'd only known beforehand. So it's been pretty neat to see that perspective. So for EQIT, if there's a way that you can connect with any FFN providers, family, friend, and neighbor care, some parents, new moms, or maybe it's moms of toddlers, and you can see that they're struggling a little bit, this would be a really great resource for them. And we'll do it 2 times a year. So just put that in here somewhere. Let's see. Directors, there are still availability for the director scholarships. Just let PCF know. I know we have a little bit of a transition with a few things, but it's still going to be funding that's available for that. So that's still a possibility. Questions on workforce development? Thoughts, feedback, something different you need, want to see. Okay.
Always great resources.
Okay, a couple other things. The substitute pool. We only have a very, very, very small amount of people utilizing the substitute pool. We brought them here under a grant, and that grant is going to expire at some point. So please utilize the substitute pool. Sign up for the substitute pool. If you have teachers that work part-time for you, they can go be subs. They are lacking centers or homes to participate in the substitute pool. They're also lacking teachers. Right now she only has 2 teachers, but she's had several turnarounds of hiring 2 teachers, and then they don't get any work, so they leave. And then she hires more teachers, and then they don't get any work, so they leave. So right now, we do not have a very stable substitute pool, and if it can't work here, it will pull out, and I don't want to lose that as a resource, because they have to have centers signed on, and they have to have teachers to be able to be there for you guys. So please reach out to the substitute pool. I know we've had the people that have used it have had really good feedback. They have said that it did save them money. The price does look scary in the beginning, but it's way quicker and way faster than a new hire. And just paying attention to the numbers. We've had really good feedback about the teachers that she's hired, that they're very high quality, very reliable. You can also request them, so that if you're wanting consistency, that's totally okay, because we know with quality, we know with young children, they like a face that they know. So that's another piece. So the substitute pool, it's wavering. So we need some support, and we need some help with that, so that we don't lose that resource in the community. As COVID's hitting, as centers want to grow and expand quality, we'd really like to keep them here.
Stephanie,
So I talked a little bit about.
how do we get a hold of the substitute pool?
No,
I could put it on my Facebook page too, like a number or a link.
Yeah, she's got a website that's got her, and it's early. Let me think of the name again. It's Maru Garcia. Early childhood teachers hourly, I think.
Early childhood hourly teachers, I think, and I just put
There
together
we go.
a social media post that I shared today, so
Okay.
I can share that too if you want to share like a picture that has that email and phone number on it.
Okay. That'd be great. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll drop her website in the chat too. And it has her contact information on it as well as the hours. So she's doing the Metro Denver area, Boulder, Colorado Springs, Fort Collins, Steamboat for different pricing. And then for us in Weld County, she has a pricing there too. So they have director qualified and then lead teacher qualified subs. Okay, thank you. That would be really great for supporting the substitute pool. I mentioned the CDA waiver already. If you have questions for that, let me know. It's just for that lag for that PD specialist visit, either whenever that's able to be lifted for visitors to go back, or the CDA council allows virtuals. And then I also sent out for folks that have gone through the CDA with us, I sent out a survey, so if you could nudge them, we've had a couple responses. But it's just for me to be able to identify best practices, did this work well, what could we improve, that kind of thing. So any of your CDA candidates that have recently gone through from January on through this year, it'd be really nice if they could complete that survey. It's not very long, it's not hard, it's very quick, it's a Google form. And then the last thing that I had is there's going to be some things coming down the line. I am involved with some of the state work groups and things like that, so we've been getting some information on legislation coming through. There's going to be some grant availability for centers or homes providers if you are involved in parent involvement and have parent involvement policies and different types of things. There's going to be some grant opportunities for that. I was the parent, what was the name of that? Something, the involvement for the state. So I have some good training opportunities that would be free of cost. It takes about an hour to go through them. And then kind of a toolkit that's been developed of resources. And then that way you could be eligible for those grants if you have a solid parent involvement plan and program and things in place. So they're already done, basically. So if that's something that you're interested in, please let me know, and I can assist with that. But yeah, it takes about an hour to go through it, and then the resources are already done. Okay.
Is there some kind of guidelines that what they're looking for, guidelines, expectations to qualify, so we could kind of set our sights on, okay, we need this much parent involvement, to qualify, which would certainly help us?
So none of that has been determined very specifically yet, but if you basically, what I have is if you have a parent involvement plan and you're very focused on parent involvement, you're more apt to get these funds. And it sounds like there's quite a bit at the state that they're looking at because they're seeing parent involvement be pretty critical to high quality and to success, especially with turnover with lower income families. So, and the more we can get ahead of the game, the more that we're going to, because they're going to be looking at childcare deserts, that's us. They're going to be looking at programs that are utilizing parent involvement, that's us. They're going to be looking at CCAP, that's a lot of us. And then demographics is going to be the other one. But if we have several of those categories nailed, then we're going to be more apt to be able to be relevant to those grants. But it sounds like it's going to be quite a bit. And then there's some other grants to be determined. Hopefully I'll have more information on those coming up too. Okay, I'm done.
Sounds great. Hey, be sure to, if there's a few of you that haven't put a number in the chat there, we've got another gift card today for Amazon, so directors, owners, throw your number in the chat there if you haven't won in the last 2 months. So All right, Miss Jessica.
Hello,
Hello,
everyone. So a few announcements from the Partnership for Children and Families. First thing, 20 minutes ago, I just received word that in the special session, the childcare stimulus bill was just passed. So that means that there should be some stimulus and sustainability coming down soon, which is great news. Yeah, it's off to be signed. It was passed unanimously in the Senate and is now off to be signed by the governor. So that's exciting. Other than that, the first thing I wanted to bring to everyone's attention, I've been sharing it a bunch on our social media, is we just began child care provider support groups through Mind Springs Health in Colorado Spirit. So this group is a group that's meeting bi-weekly from 5:30 to 6:30 on Tuesdays and 1 to 2 on Thursdays. So we tried to find times that would meet your availability. I know it's hard to take time out of your busy days, but basically this group will be facilitated by a child care specialist through Mind Springs Health, as well as 2 other counselors through Mind Springs Health, one of them being bilingual. So it's a really great space, kind of just to talk about things that you're experiencing, frustrations, troubles. We know that there's a lot going on right now, and you are all managing a lot, as evidenced by the many things we've been discussing today. So we wanted to create this space so that you kind of have some time to decompress, bring issues of challenging behaviors that you're dealing with in your classrooms. So those would be great topics to discuss. So really, Mind Springs Health is being super flexible with this opportunity and willing to adapt this group to meet your needs. So if there's any thoughts that you have on this, any way that you think this would better meet your needs, feel free to put it in the chat or reach out to me privately. I can put my email in the chat here in a second. And in the agenda, I've linked to the child care provider support group. And then I also linked some of the other ones that they're offering through Colorado Spirit, just in case those might meet your needs better or the time might work better. Those being Peace in the Pandemic, which is just a general group to kind of talk about the things going on. There's also a students only group that I wanted to share. So if you have children of your own who you think maybe they would benefit from a group like that, or children in your care who may benefit, there's that linked. And then the last 2 is dealing with grief and loss. So if you or any of the families you've served have experienced grief during this really challenging time, that's available. And then there's also one that's exclusively in Spanish, which is Paz durante días festivos, and that's the Peace in the Pandemic, but led in Spanish. So if you have any questions about those, feel free to reach out. The second thing that we're really excited to share as well is we have a Kids Count presentation scheduled for next week on Wednesday, December 9th from 2 to 3 p.m. So if you're unfamiliar with Kids Count, and I can share the registration links in there, but I can share a flyer too as well. But this is a really great interactive presentation hosted by Colorado Children's Campaign, and they go through a bunch of different city and county and state level data that tells you a lot of details about how the kids in our community are doing, and also talks about some ways that we can address the trends that we're seeing and move forward to help children in our community more. So that's from 2 to 3 next week. We'd really, really love to have you there and have your voice represented there. And you can feel free to share that with anybody who may be interested. And then the last thing that I wanted to share was we are promoting a Family, Friends, and Neighbor Child Care Cash Assistance Program through Mile High United Way. So we were presented with an opportunity to try and connect with informal, unlicensed caregivers who have been left out of other funding opportunities. So So we are in the process of trying to find individuals who provide that informal care. So if you know anybody, we would really love if you connected them to this opportunity. I've shared the link to it on our website. It's a really straightforward process for them to apply. And we don't have enough providers, or we don't know enough FFN providers to connect with right off the bat. So we're really looking to find people to connect these funds to. So if you know anybody, please feel free to share. And that's it for me. Any questions?
I can certainly see that, you know, for a lot of centers and homes that have Facebook pages for their facility, putting out those links on your Facebook page for your families, dealing with grief and loss, be a great one, peace in the pandemic, all three of those. So it would be a great place to promote that.
And I didn't say this, but they're all completely free. So it's a great unlimited resource. And they also, if you reach out to the group directly, they also do one-on-one sessions too. So if it's something that you would like to chat with somebody about what you're experiencing, you can also connect with them directly for a one-on-one chat.
That's great.
And Jessica, could you add those the FFN grant? What's the amount that they're able to access?
It is a $2,500 grant. So if they apply and they receive it, they're going to receive $2,500 no matter what. It's a really quick grant. They don't request like a budget or anything. So it's $2,500.
Great, thank you. And then that bill that just passed, I think it was $45 million. That's pretty awesome.
Absolutely. All right. Well, thanks, Jessica. We've got kind of a quieter group here. It's getting quieter and quieter by the minute, but hopefully I know that the popularity of people watching this later on through our Mason County Facebook group has been great. So I had a few topics on here. We covered we covered a lot of COVID topics already. I thought I'd mention a few things real quick though. Rates, increases, and strategies. I talked to a center here across the valley just yesterday about rates, and you know, sometimes it's a tough time to consider raising your rates on your families here in the middle of this pandemic, out of fear of losing people, out of putting additional financial stress on families. However, I encourage you to consider where your center is at and where your center needs to be. Minimum wage is going up 32 cents here January 1. That means not only are your employees' wages going up, your families have wages that are going up as well. I've always been a believer that January 1 is the time to raise rates. Families aren't out shopping childcare right now. They're in the middle of school or remote learning, if you will. You have a captive audience. You're taking great care of your parents, and they expect this. So because we're short of time, if you have any questions, thoughts, or just want to have a conversation about it, I'm happy to do so. You're welcome to reach out to me. One of the things that I ran into just a month ago, I attended Chris Murray's virtual Childcare Success Summit. One of the things I came away with was called Childcare CRM. It's a pre-enrollment software system. And one of the top presenters there, his name is Mike Hook. I've invited him to come on to one of our Directors Network calls. I was going to do it in December. We had a huge agenda, so I'm glad we moved it. We're going to kind of temporarily push it to January. And so I've invited him to come in and do a demo. And if our agenda gets full, I'll do a demo on the side and we'll just share it to the group. But it's all designed to keep your center full and create lots of automation for your program. So I put a link in the website here. You can check out Childcare CRM, their website.com. And then this also one here is was an interview of Brian Dupre by one of the directors of Childcare CRM. So just some good resources for you as well. And then finally, I'm going to talk about outsourcing, but real quick, let's give away that $50 Amazon gift card. Did everybody that's still here put a number in the chat there? Hey Siri. Choose a number between 1 and 100.
Hey, Kirk, I think people put their telephone numbers in.
They put their, yeah, they put it up at the top of the chat, yeah?
Their
Is
telephone
that what
number?
you're saying?
No, I think they put their telephone
No,
number.
no, a number between 1 and 100? All right. Did everybody hear what Siri's number was? Does someone need to throw just a random number between 1 and 100 that haven't done that yet? Oh, I did see some phone numbers going in there. Yeah, I follow you. Okay, well, the number that Siri threw out was 79, and Lori looks like you're number 50. And there she is. So, all right. So, $50 Amazon gift card to you.
That's the only good thing that's happened this week, so thank you.
Only good thing that's happened this week, so thank you.
Oh, jeez. Well, hopefully we'll throw you some CARES funding here too, so that might be good. Hey, the last thing I want to touch on, and I'm going to do an extensive video on this soon, but I just want to throw outsourcing out to you real quick. We're trying to create jobs in Mesa County. So why would outsourcing possibly be popular for your business? It's been almost a year since I've hired 2 virtual assistants from the Philippines. And I can tell you it has been life-changing. Let me share with you real quick my screen. This won't take long. And here are some things that I have used outsourcing for, and some things that I plan to use outsourcing for. The thing that I would suggest to you first is, if you could have a new administrative assistant full-time in your business working for you day in and day out, what would you have them do? The things that are bold are things that my virtual assistants have done for me. Organizing and managing staff training platforms, YouTube and Facebook, because they're smarter than that than I am. Graphic design, they've worked on marketing tools. They've done email management. They jump into my email, they get rid of the junk, and they make sure I see the stuff I need to see. They've done marketing on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn, designing logos, email signatures. I've yet to cross over to bookkeeping and customer service, but those are things that are on my mind. Video editing, as you can imagine. But what about creating staff orientation and training videos for your center? I have a gal that audits my attendance and every single ledger at both of our centers every single month, and catches hundreds of dollars of overcharges and undercharges that I'm able to go through in half an hour, which takes her probably 8 to 10 hours, and make those adjustments and get everything right. Document, spreadsheet, tool creation, classroom sheets, ROMs, wait lists, peer reviews, parent surveys. If you could just send a voice message to someone and say, would you send out a parent survey to all of my families? And here's the questions I have. And you just randomly give them 10 questions. That could be done in 24 hours for you by someone that just has those resources and knowledge on how to do that. I'm about to outsource our human resources. So when I need an ad run for a preschool teacher in Grand Junction, that's all I need to say, and I'll have everything moving in place. What about setting up Zoom meetings for you for your new applicants? I'm looking at working on a system that I can take all of our onboarding and go completely online. Now we recently outsourced our payroll to Auto Paycheck, so they have a program called iSolved, and so I already have the system. Don't have to be creative, but it takes time and effort to get all of your staff and all of their trainings. But that's something that weighs heavily on you as owners and directors. So stay tuned, and I'll show you the results when I finish of outsourcing the human resources. Can do the same with student files. We have a gal that does all of our portfolio developmental portfolios. I mentioned that before. Social media, data entry, all kinds of stuff. And I'll finish with this. So let's say you hired an administrator for $18 an hour, full-time, 21 days a month, 8 hours a day. That's a salary of just over $3,000. Add taxes and benefits, that's $3,500 a month. I don't know how many centers could say, I've got an extra $3,500 I could hire an administrative assistant for. That's $42,000 a year. A virtual assistant, $400 to $600 a month. At $500 a month, that's $6,000 a year. I'll pay my virtual assistant over the next 7 years, full-time, 40 hours a week, $42,000. I can get a lot done in that time period. And I'll leave you with this one little thing too. If you're wondering about underpaying those in the Philippines, one of my gals lives in Davao City, where the minimum wage is $6.92. $6.92 per day. That's 80-some cents an hour. Okay, we pay her 3 times that, and it'll be 4 times that in January when she gets her first major raise. So imagine paying someone 3 times minimum wage here in Colorado, $45 an hour. It's the equivalent type of effort that they give us back in terms of results. So if you're curious, just stay tuned, because I've been wanting and wishing. I always have these great ideas of things I want to do or need to do, but I don't have time to do it. And I don't have money to pay someone $20 an hour to do it. So that's where outsourcing has been a huge part of Discovery Kids. So I'll continue to share my ideas. Feel free to reach out if you ever have any questions on that. All right, there's that. Oh, and I put a couple links in the agenda too. If you're curious at all, go check out onlinejobs.com, onlinejobsph. Well, I put some links in the, I'll drop those links on the CRM and on the outsourcing in the, there they go. They're in the chat for you right there. All right, cool. Does anybody else have anything else for us today before we wrap up?
Kirk, I'm in the chat, but I forgot to mention. Sorry, Lori, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Sorry, Lori, go ahead. Go ahead. Okay. I had forgot to mention that we are now going to offer CDA, the one that's going to be in the spring that starts in March. We'll have an English class. We'll also have a fully run Spanish class. And then same with EQIT. We'll have a full English class as well as a Spanish class. So if you have some participants that learn better that way, it will be full Spanish speaking. It's the first time we've ever been able to offer that. So forgot to mention those two. And then as far as the state CDA, Jen, to answer your question, I was thinking they do have to finish for that one in the end of March, but we have to start the course before December 16th for the state one for this round. Okay, I'm done.
And that's it from Little Peaches. Lori, what you got?
I was going to tell you, thank you, Stephanie. I have a baby down here squawking, so I apologize. He's making happy noises. And so if he took the one in December offered by Dale and Stephanie, it's all online. It's kind of self-paced, but one of them would be one of his directors, because obviously we want him to get that as quick as possible. That scholarship would cover that as well.
When does Stephanie and Vale start?
She just emailed me. She said there's one late December.
We'd have to be able to purchase it, and they'd have to be enrolled before the 16th for that one to be eligible.
Okay.
Otherwise, we have the self-paced cohorts.
Yeah, you guys are offering one. They're offering one. There's a couple online. I know people are going through, so I just wanted to see programs would qualify for that. So, I mean, we don't care who he goes through. Is
Yeah,
it?
for the state one,
Uh-huh.
okay. The state one is gonna be the 5 different online programs right now due to our time constraints for this year's funding.
Perfect. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Lori, was there something that you had?
I just want to
share
talk. I
us?
sent you a message, Kirk. I just want to talk to you directly, I guess, about responding when COVID hits your center.
Sounds good.
Thank you.
You got it. Sounds good. Anyone else? All right, that's a wrap. Thanks, everybody. We will see you all January 13th. We'll see you next year. That's a week after everybody gets back to school. Let's hope everybody is still back in school and back to school on January 6th after winter break. So,
Hey, Kurt,
all right. Thanks, everyone.
did you press record?
I'm going to go jump in the beach.
Record?
What's that? I didn't. I recorded this on Camtasia. I recorded on Camtasia because then I can capture the whole screen and everybody, and then I'll just send that right to Mason County YouTube and post a link.
I gotcha. Oh, cool. Okay. Awesome.
Yeah. Awesome. So this will be a little bit more interesting because we'll be able to see everybody's faces. I'm a little bit smarter with Camtasia than I am with this Zoom, and when I post the link up on the Facebook, it has all kinds of issues.
No.
So
Okay. Thanks.
okay, enjoy the rest of your soup. All right, bye everybody.